In a way to allow students to participate in the 2022 governor election, Forest School is holding a mock election for students to vote for election candidates. To help students cast votes, representatives for each candidate, as well as Miss Joyce's economics class, were interviewed to provide information about each candidate. We now turn to Logan Rakes as she interviews the representative of John Gentry.
I'm Logan Rakes, reporter for Forest School, here with Lane Stacy, the representative of independent candidate John Gentry.
So why does John Gentry feel the need to be governor?
John Gentry's main focus is to take down big government corruption.
What will be the governor's priorities?
His priorities are restoring government, and he wants to take down big government and just kind of restore kind of the old order to Tennessee government.
Why does John Gentry feel the need to create a petition for citizens?
He wants citizens to have their voices heard, so he wants to make a petition so where people can come up to the Capitol at least once a month and voice their grievances and any suggestions they may have.
In an interview, John Gentry was talking about how he wanted to uphold the Constitution. How will he plan to do that?
He says he will endeavor with all my heart and soul to defend the Constitution. And so he's really a constitutionalist. He really believes in it, and whatever it says is the law. That's what he believes.
John Gentry talks about term limits. How will he bring about that?
He thinks the people want term limits. He thinks there needs to be term limits. He thinks there's people that's been in power for far too long, and he really wants to get rid of people that have been there way too long.
How will John Gentry root out corrupt career politicians?
His plan is to expose any kind of corrupt politicians to the people. He wants the people to be able to see it firsthand, so that the biggest power is the people, right? So he wants to show the people the corrupt politicians.
What does John Gentry think about immigration?
John Gentry supports legal immigration. He does not support illegal immigration, and his plans to send any illegal aliens back.
Does John Gentry think the election system is fair, and why?
He thinks it has opportunity to be rigged, and he thinks it has been rigged in the past, and he really wants to make it a lot more safe and just a whole lot better where it can't be rigged.
Why is this change important?
Well, all citizens need a proof of ID is what he thinks that we need, and he also wants a proof of citizenship to be able to vote. So that'll help with the change in the election system that he thinks can be rigged.
Thank you for your time. This has helped inform voters in our school.
We will now hear from Miss Joyce's economics class as Mr. Smith interviews them over John Gentry.
Today we're going to be interviewing some students from Miss Joyce's first block economics class about the upcoming election for governor in the state of Tennessee and why John Gentry is the best candidate for the job. Why does John Gentry feel the need to be governor?
I am knowledgeable in the statutory law and rule of procedure and the largely corrupt legislative process.
If elected, what would Mr. Gentry's priorities be as governor?
To better the state, fix corruption, and debates.
And how will Mr. Gentry go about doing that?
By having corrupt judges impeached and stopping corrupt pretended legislation from being enacted into law.
In what ways will John Gentry uphold the Tennessee state constitution?
By putting the people in charge of the government through asserting constitutionally protected rights.
What about term limits?
I will immediately have statutory term limits put in place and begin the 4-year process to constitutionally limit the number of terms that can be served.
You've mentioned corruption several times already. How will John Gentry plan on rooting out these corrupt career politicians?
By getting corrupt judges out of the court.
What changes does Mr. Gentry plan on making to how bills and legislation are approved?
I'll have a petition and remonstrance day where citizens can come at least once a month unannounced to the Capitol and present me with their grievances or proper purposes.
Does John Gentry think the current election system is fair?
No, the government is corrupt in many ways, and this is something I aim to fix.
Why is it important to make these changes to the election system?
To give people their protected rights back, and their constitutional rights.
It won't be easy to tackle this issue of corruption. How long does Mr. Gentry think it will take?
No certain amount of time. I will take all the time necessary to create the changes I promise. But as long as corrupt judges and legislators are in the government.
All right, thank you very much.